What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another Pitching Ninja's Filthiest Pitches of the Day. Remember, before we get to those pitches, hit that subscribe button. Join Ninja Nation. Be a part of the biggest and best daily baseball show on YouTube. And now, without further ado, here are my filthiest pitches of the day. I'm going to start with James Paxton, who had 6 Ks in 5 1/3 innings, giving up no runs. A really solid outing for Paxton, who relied on his fastballs, cutters, and knuckle curves. And here's an overlay of Paxton's fastball and knuckle curve. And you can see why he was able to get those whiffs on his knuckle curve. It tunnels well with his fastball, and they head off in different directions. Paxton faced off against the opener, Austin Cox, who had 2 Ks and 2 scoreless innings, giving up only 1 hit. He got Ks on his fastball and cutter. Hunter Brown had 7 Ks in 6 innings. He gave up 5 runs, but had no walks and pitched fairly well until the 6th and 7th inning. He had these mid to upper 90s fastballs. He also had this slider at 95 miles an hour. Well, he calls it a slider. It looks a little bit more like a cutter to me. And here's an overlay of Hunter Brown's fastball and slider. And you can see why that combination works so well. He can throw them down the middle and let the pitch movement do the work. And the hitter has to figure out which is which. And if you guess wrong, you're whiffing. Hunter Brown battled Dean Kramer, who had 5 Ks in 7 innings, giving up 2 runs. He got his Ks on this fastball, but mostly on cutters, including this absolutely filthy back foot cutter. Bryce Elder had 5 Ks in 5 innings, giving up 5 runs. It does seem like the league's caught up to him, but he did have this really nasty sinker, as well as this slider. He battled Bailey Falter, who had 3 Ks in 4 innings, giving up 4 runs, and had this curveball for a sword. Although sometimes I think Jim Wolf at first base likes to call these swings just so he can flex. I mean, that dude is jacked. Noah Syndergaard pitched well and had 5 strikeouts in 5 2/3 innings, giving up only 1 run. He got Ks on his fastball, changeup, and curveball. And outdueled Alek Manoah, who had 6 Ks in 4 innings but gave up 4 runs. Manoah had this fastball, including these elevated fastballs, and also had this wicked slider. Aaron Nola had 6 Ks in 5 innings, giving up only 1 run. He had this absolutely perfectly painted fastball. I mean, you can't throw it any better than that. As well as this filthy changeup and dirty knuckle curves and picking up a sword. He also had this knuckle curve that was just off the plate. Definitely not in the zone, and Dom Smith would agree. This game started out a pitcher's duel, as you can see on the score bug. There it is. Nola battled Patrick Corbin, who had 2 Ks in 5 innings, giving up only 1 hit and no earned runs, but he did have 7 walks. He picked up Ks on his slider and sinker. Clayton Kershaw returned from the IL and had 4 Ks in 5 innings, giving up only 1 run. He picked up Ks on his fastball, slider, and curveball, as well as his new split changeup. Yes, the legend Clayton Kershaw has a new pitch. I slowed it down so you can see the grip, and it's definitely a split grip. I'm curious to see how much he works it into games because historically he's always tried to develop a changeup and then scraps it in the middle of a season. But he kind of liked it, as he said after the game.
Yeah, I threw it 4 times, and it's like I threw it a million times. Yeah, no, I threw 4 of them. 3 of them were actually okay. So I don't know. Maybe I'll try to use it maybe 4 or 5 times a game or something like that.
Even if he throws it only a few times a game, it'll definitely surprise hitters. You can kind of see it in Diaz's face after swinging and missing at the changeup. Kershaw also had his main weapons, his fastball and slider. And I did this overlay to show you why that pairing is so impossible for hitters to hit. He throws his slider just like his fastball and they tunnel so well. But that little bit of movement difference gets the whiff. Kershaw said he throws his slider hard on purpose because it helps him better tunnel it with his fastball. And looking at this, you gotta agree. Then again, I just take his word for it because he is one of the greatest pitchers of all time. Kershaw faced Ty Block, who had 2 Ks in 6 innings, giving up only 1 run, and had this painted 2-seamer. Kenta Maeda had 4 Ks in 6 innings, giving up only 1 run, and relied mostly on his fastballs and sliders. The highlight of the game was this slider that he threw to Javy Baez. Look at where Vasquez, his catcher, is set up. It's in the other batter's box. You'd think that Baez could even see that setup out of his peripheral vision. But nope, Javy don't care. Because Javy swings at everything. I am convinced that Javy Baez would swing at a pickoff attempt. Look at this chart from Baseball Savant at all the pitches that Javy Baez has swung at this year, and the locations are all over the place. After the game, Baez faced off against 50 Cent, and Baez even swung at that. I guess he didn't want to be a window shopper. Kenta Maeda faced off against Reese Olson, who had 8 Ks in 6 innings, giving up 2 hits and no runs, and was my co-filthiest starting pitcher of the day. Olson had these fastballs, including this painted fastball, his curveballs, which were wicked, as well as these nasty sliders. And here's an overlay of Olson's sinker and slider, and you can see when Olson is on, this combination frustrates hitters. Zach Littell had 5 Ks in 6 innings, giving up 3 runs and had these fastballs and splitters. And he faced my other co-filthiest starting pitcher of the day, Matthew Liberatore. Liberatore had 7 Ks in 8 innings, giving up 2 hits and no runs. He relied mostly on this combination of fastballs and sliders. And I really love this sequence where he throws a slider in the dirt and then follows it up with a sinker in that same tunnel. As a hitter, you just took that slider and you think he's trying to double up on it to fool you, but you get a fastball instead and that catches the zone. Some great sequencing from Liberatore. Now onto my filthiest relievers. Yennier Cano had this sinker. Kenley Jansen had these nasty cutters. Joan Duran had this curveball and splinker. Ryan Yarbrough had this curveball, changeup, and sinker. Craig Kimbrell had this dirty combo of his fastball knuckle curve that I overlaid. And you can see why that combination has made him so successful for so long. Ryan Stanek had this 99-mile-an-hour diesel. Chris Martin got Ks on his fastball and splitter. And look, his jersey was all yellow. All right, that was a cold play on his name. Josh Winkowski had this fastball and cutters. Sam Henches had this slider and curveball. Colin Holderman had this fastball sweeper and elevated cutter. Brusdar Graterol had this 6 slider and got the save. And my filthiest reliever of the day was Emmanuel Clase, who had this flaming cutter as well as these nasty sliders. Yuck. Before I get to my moment of zen, the top pick in the draft, Paul Skeens, made his professional debut yesterday and didn't disappoint. Here are some highlights from his outing where he topped out at 101 miles an hour and was just nasty. He absolutely could pitch in the majors right now and expect him to be a stud when he finally does get there. He's going to be an ace for a long, long time. And now, my Pitching Ninja moment of zen. This guy got a burger and fries with an extra side of baseball.
They'll be there, and then there you go.
Let the tray do the work.
That's classic.
Who needs a glove?
What is up, everybody? I've got some great news for you today. Today is a Pitching Ninja Profit Boost Token Day at FanDuel. You get a Profit Boost token of 30% on any MLB parlay of 3 legs or more. I would use my 30% Profit Boost token on my picks of the day, which are a 3-leg parlay. I'm going to go with Paul Blackburn for 4 Ks or more, then take Jose Barrios for 6 Ks or more, and top it off with Kyle Gibson for 6 Ks or more. What would your picks of the day be?